Hello, everyone! Blue Star Saber here with Lucky Chi 7 to discuss once again a new My Hero Academia review.
All I'm gonna say is I'm not here? Question mark.
What?
Uh, it was supposed to be an All Might reference, but okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I should really, but okay. I'm sorry I ruined the joke, but anyway, we may or may not get manga reader, but let's see. Let's see. Though he said some last minute. He said he was going to come, but then some last minute factors might have changed that. But I sent him the link. But who knows? Depending on how long we discuss this chapter, he might decide to pop in. If not, we won't see him. But
I think
well.
of how long these streams normally go. There's a chance we'll probably see him.
Well, yeah, true. Sometimes we have gone too close to an hour, and a few of these gone to like an hour in some of these chapters. But let's find out whether or not this chapter is worth an hour's long discussion.
True.
Anyway, let's see. Chapter 328, which is No Man is an Island, though I've named it My Hero Academia Chapter 228. Enter the USA and it's Stars and Stripes, and by the end of this chapter, you'll understand why. Well, granted, I expect you've at least read this chapter before watching this video.
I'll say this: when it came to the chapter title, I initially thought it's a No Man's Land. I was like, okay, like I know that's a storyline in the Batman comics, but I was like, okay. But then I actually reread it again. I was like, okay, it's No Man is an Island. Makes more sense.
If it was the same chapter of the Batman story, we probably know that Koei has probably read it then. But anyway. The chapter goes back to 1 month ago, as we see like it's in the flashback black screen panels and all that stuff. As a counter-quirk maximum security special prison Tartarus. As we're back to Tartarus, as we see some buildings falling down, and we see some random villain escape who seems to be a bit of a creep wanting some women and that stuff.
I'll say this, just right off the gate, you can already tell it's Shigaraki behind it, just based on how destructive everything is with the buildings and everything.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, we've got this random villain here who pretty much could be what Mineta could end up being if he goes down the wrong path.
Always with the Mineta jokes.
Well, face it. He's the number one punching bag for jokes about this. Even the fandom makes it a pastime of saying, everyone's a hero except Mineta. But yeah. Anyway, however, before this despicable villain could start collecting women again, all that stuff, he ends up getting sliced in the throat by Stain with a big piece of Derbis, a sharp Derbis and that stuff. As he seems to have grown as we see how much his hair has grown during this time in prison, wondering what's going on. Since he thinks about how he hasn't heard a word beyond the wall since he was arrested in the city.
Yeah.
But he realizes from all the escaped convicts that Tartarus has fallen, and he must deduce that means the world's in a dire state. So he decides that information is essential.
True.
Anyway, he goes to the security control room as we see a lot of dead guards. Let's see. As he notices that there's nothing left here. As apparently they've met their ends, grisling ends by trying to grab their firearms.
But yeah. I mean, it's more than just security guards, though. Like, even like security cameras and stuff, like all that's shattered too. Yeah. So you know, like something happened here for sure.
But he notices that one of them is not gripping a firearm, but something in his hand and all that, in his arms and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He tries to pick it out from his thing, but then the guard who's revealed to still be alive is asking why he's grabbing this and not a weapon. As Endeavor notices that this strange man, this ragged man breathing is doomed to die and all that stuff. And he says he requires information. and he says, and the security guy says Chisholm Akiguru, who seems to recognize Stain. Let's see. As he says that he worked for Shigaraki, so this is not for you. Stain realizing that, so this is something that matters then. So he picks it up, he realizes it's stored data, and as he takes it from the guard, in his dying breath, the guy picks up a gun, saying "killer," telling him to drop it, that it must reach for the right people. Let's see. As it says, it's not for him, and he must do his duty and make sure it's secure.
Yeah.
As he talks about how this arrow has gone away, as he ends up now, as he's just about to die, though, Stain says, "Rest assured, your conviction will reach the right man." With as the building starts to fall around him, he asks Stain if he's a man or a beast.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "I am merely an ally to the world as it should be, but a beast all the same." Sort of answering, saying, let's see, saying why he's a beast, but he's a beast that needs to get things done, I guess you will.
In a sense, yeah.
Fair enough. I'm not sure what I'm probably theorizing this, Lucky Chi, but you know how you know that person that fought Bakugo, Red Riot, and Denki in the hero license exam, right?
What about it?
I believe his father works at the security prison. You think this might be him?
I don't know. It could be him, but
it could be an interesting coincidence. But yeah. Anyway, we cut to a panel with like All for One and Shigaraki atop of a rubble with all the villains around them worshipping him, while Stain just looks on.
Yeah.
Let's see, thinking about how that nameless man guarded this data to his dying breath, and for its true value, I cannot say. As we see Stain jumping into the water, swimming, clearly not following Stain and Shigaraki, because we know that he doesn't really agree with the two.
He nope, I'm going elsewhere.
So he's planning on to deliver it to the only one who has earned his trust. As he thinks about how this guard held to his dying breath and resolve to act for society's sake, he must, thinking that the person he must trust must pick up where he left off, because everything began with him, as he's talking about All Might. So in a sense, Stain has helped this dying guard reach the right people and all that stuff, if you will. As we see All Might giving this information, as it's and this intel to Tasukuchi and his police force, and later rejoined. And it feels that All Might gave it to them first before rejoining UA and going to the heroes with this piece of info.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, because, well, face it, we haven't seen this guy in probably a while, not since the war arc, really.
Mm-hmm. He's got a bit of that fuzz too.
Yeah, it looks like it seems the month has not been kind to him. I don't remember when he last appeared, but we see him here now. And we even see his right-hand man, the Kitty Lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the guys end up saying that's glad to hear you've patched things up with Midoriya. Okay, so he's okay, my mistake. So it seems like he's delivered this after talking to Deku at UA. My mistake, I misread that wrong. From asking with him to report telling All Might how they're losing face, getting help from the killer and all that stuff. He's clearly not happy about that information, but still.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Anyway. Anyway, the Tartarus system is, as it goes on about how Tartarus system was a standalone one, built a way to prevent, interference from external forces and all that. So
yeah,
no one would which on one hand keeps the villains out, but at the same time, it prevents many people from accessing data in any form and all that stuff, showing a downside.
More or less. Yeah.
Let's see, for the data itself, it concerns the cause of system shutdown, the same radio waves that Shigaraki made extensive use of in the main battle. In this case, the prison was hit with those blasts from over and over from both inside and out. So it's from what this description is, what I've just read is implying that. Let's see, you've got. It seems like it was both broken in and out from in. Let's see, the place was damaged from both inside and out from, I think, Shigaraki and All for One's attacks, from what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So, as the cat deduces that the All for One must have synchronized with Shigaraki and all that stuff. As All Might goes on about how, let's see, his conscious inside his quirks works as a conduit for them sharing their thoughts and stuff, and about how he's experienced the same phenomenon with One for All. Though for him, the problem was there wasn't a two-channel way and all that stuff.
Yeah.
As the version of him that is inside the quirk seems to have access to his thoughts, but he never experienced any sort of synchronizing with like the All Might inside him and all that stuff, except when he, touched Midoriya a while back. And it revealed that whatever it was thinking of feeling was flowing into him. So this is how All Might was able to get the information when Midoriya was talking with the previous users and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we learn that All Might can only learn about what goes on with like inside One for All is when he's touching Midoriya. Did that sound creepy the way I said it?
Not really.
I know, because out of context, I feel like that could be a wrong way of interpretation. Anyway, moving on before I make this weird.
Maybe holding on to Midoriya would be a better term. Yeah.
Let's see. So anyway, he seems to suppose that, let's see, All for One can, sync to a greater degree than One for All and all that stuff. But apparently we also learned that, let's see, All for One's real body was locked up 500 meters below the sea level, could receive such specific forks from, like, let's see, Shigaraki and all that stuff. Or the one All for One that was inside Shigaraki, if you will.
Yeah.
As the cat comments that it's kind of like a twin connection of sorts. Regardless, they use those radio waves to communicate. And apparently that these radio waves can also be used to give Nomus very specific commands. Let's see, and from apparently the data they've received from the media assembles a conversation from radio waves they recorded. With the cat wondering what has been decoded. With the words "make him complete in 38 days," showing that this is how long it will take to get Shigaraki to be complete, with like All for One and all that stuff.
That's what they want us to think.
Now, based on the research from the Central Hospital, they thought they had 2 months and all that stuff. So, if I recall, 2 months would have been 56 days at least, right?
No, 2 months would equate to 61 days, relatively.
Oh, 61 days, my mistake.
Yeah.
And so it's nearly half of that. Let's see.
Keep going.
As All Might talks about how they could have rigged the results, we were bound to get a bluff.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, let's see, soon discuss true schedule. as what All Might concludes is that the real time of when Tamura Shigaraki will become a complete vessel is in 3 days' time. So apparently in 3 days, Shigaraki should be back to be in full power and all that stuff.
I'll tell you this: when I was doing my analysis review on this, I was like, "Huh, like 3 days." Does that sound familiar?
Let's see. I'm thinking. Is this
You should know this fully. Like,
is this a Naruto reference?
uh-huh.
Is this the Jinchuriki extraction?
I was gonna say Fourth Grade Ninja War, but okay, that works too.
Oh yeah, yes, the 3-day war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway,
That's the one spot where my mind went. I was like, I hope that's not what we're going at, but okay.
a 3-day war. Yeah, I think Gritzy, it's a bit too soon to do a 3-day war given the last one.
Who knows? Kelly might be like, you know what? 3-day war. I'm like, all right. If that's where you want to go, that's it's totally on you.
Anyway, a direct request from. Anyway, we cut to like what appeared to be a international world building, maybe a UN building or something, or at least an international conference room, as we see all the different country flags and all that stuff, or some sort of embassy, if you will. There's someone talking about a direct request from All Might, but apparently the search and dispatch can't happen in a day, even in the best of times, apparently, as an internal deployment effort takes a staging amount of procedure and paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
As people that are talking from the building, what appears to be from people in the chair meeting with people on screens, and one of the people from the screens talks about how the strengths of their heroes directly tied to the domestic powers, if you will. When they go abroad, let's see. As when heroes that from their own countries go abroad, they are less effective to deal with their own internal effects and all that stuff. And, the balance crumbles. As another comment, any large-scale deployment tends to encourage major crime syndics to stir up trouble, because, well, this is apparently one of the reasons why you never get international heroes usually helping out with crisis in Japan and all that stuff, because it's explained that if they go there, the criminals in their countries will start to cause a stir with their own crimes and all that stuff. So
I mean, to be fair, like okay, I typically I'm not the type of guy to bring up real life stuff into this, but I do feel like that stuff does happen in real life too.
Yeah. Which is probably why you're having a lot. And even though this might be bringing up a bit of modern day politics, I think that's why you're getting less people enthusiastic about military intervention with other countries, not that have no real long term interests for like the people there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But keep going.
But granted, it seems from the comments from this person, it seems that let's see if all the countries in the world act let's see too much. Let's see all these crime syndicates can make them move, and apparently there might be also apparently working together. So it seems like like that. And as one of the people I assume is from Japan that's on the chairs is saying, according to the intel from like Anton, the man known as All for One, has apparently underworld connections in a number of countries.
Yep.
Saying, even so, we cannot disregard the earnest plea from Endeavor, Hawks, and most notably All Might. So, okay, so it might not actually be Japan. This might actually be in another country, and from implying it might be from the US. My mistake there.
No, I feel like it's anywhere though. Like
yeah, so it seems like enough. So it seems like the person speaking is not necessarily Japan, but but for the person that's currently speaking, saying that this one appears to be implied from Egypt, saying how his nation's hero Salaman is quickly losing patience, and he is taken to marketing, say, "I will flatten that All for One," as we see a sort of Egyptian like pharaoh like hero, if you will.
Mhm.
And another pretty shaded figure saying same goes for his hero, Big Red Dot, who is questioning why aiding a friend must involve much red tape, as we see some sort of giant lion man. Which I'm wondering, you think these two heroes might have been from the latest My Hero Academia movie?
Good question.
But yeah.
Good question.
But anyway, let's see.
It might have been actually. I mean, we know. Okay, from what I'm aware, I know two heroes is canon, and I'm guessing. Well, actually, no, they haven't mentioned Heroes Rising, but I'm gonna assume that one's canon too.
Yeah. But anyway. Another black shaded figure says, on that note, as we seem to get a sort of yellow dot on his thing saying that their hero has already left, and apparently she couldn't sit around any longer. And apparently she skipped out on everything and just flew off, as we see some sort of, I believe, some advanced black jet. That reminds me of some sort of US military jet that you might have had, though looks maybe more futuristic.
It does look like that.
Yeah,
Kinda.
with someone telling no skins off our back star. Let's see. However, she says the mission is guaranteed to get the green light anyway, sooner or later. Besides, the request came from All Might himself. And we end up getting introduced to the number one US hero. Let's see, who reveals that, let's see, All Might is her master in the pickle. And why would she think twice? As we revealed that and we see what the United States of America's number one hero is, labeled Star and Stripe. This US hero with like the American stars and stripes all over her body and all that stuff.
Very patriotic. No, no, I'm pretty sure there's a good reason behind that, but no. My biggest takeaway from that, I know a lot of people are super ooey gooey about her appearance, and I mean, look, she looks cool, but um, my biggest takeaway from the last panel is when she was saying my master's in a pickle, which is obviously referring to All Might. That leads to an interesting future discussion, if you will.
Well, yeah, because as far as we know, Midoriya was All Might's only like, and the class one and the members of Class 1A were like.
You're forgetting Night Eye. Night Eye was another one too.
Let's see, but it seems like he's had a disciple as well. But yeah, in this case, from America. So,
and I mean, like I said, if we're also including two heroes in that, he did spend some time abroad, so I wouldn't say it's that far of a stretch to think he had some international proteges to train too.
Yeah, especially from America. But yeah, so Star and Stripe, who has now become, let's see, many fans new waifu.
I feel like that happens a lot though. Like this happened with Murako, and then it happened with Lady Nagant, and then now this one too.
Yes,
I'm not I'm not complaining about that, but I'm just like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah. Whenever Koei introduces like this supposedly strong, let's see, superheroine, she immediately becomes everyone's waifu.
Mm-hmm.
At least with like those who like the ones who are into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Star and Stripe just got introduced. I'm not gonna counter and just yet, but between Murako and Lady Nagant, I'll probably say Lady Nagant was the better of the two characters because her backstory and everything.
Fair enough. Let's see, you've actually got to see her, but anyway, before we get more into like Stars and Stripes, let's go back a bit. I do like how we end up seeing, let's see, back to flashback of how Stain escaped the island, and apparently, let's see, being the ever, I must create a just society, kills off one of the scummiest villains there, some random pervert who apparently kidnapped women and all that stuff. So we got that, but I do like how he's able to deduce that what's going on because Tartarus has fallen, so that means the world must be in chaos.
Yeah.
So, in many ways, you're getting more of your prison escape arc that you always wanted, Lucky Chi, with this chapter.
I would have rather if we had. Look, I wasn't asking for much when I get into a prison break arc. I was like, all right, like maybe 5 or so chapters, maybe 10. 10 at most. I wasn't asking for much, but
Well,
I mean, like I said, it's cool. It's cool we're getting it, but you know,
but yeah. So anyway, we do get. Anyway, I do like how we get to learn that. Let's see. He deduced what's going on, and he tried to find information, and he ended up finding like a dying security guard that had the data that he eventually gave All Might. And I do like how the guard was very he was very careful trying to keep this data away from Stain because, well, of his assumed, let's see, relations with like the League of Villains and all that stuff. However, Stain took it and, let's see, tried to assure the guard in a sense that he will get this to the right person, though. No, granted, the guard was, of course, very questioning what he is and all that stuff, which I do like how Stain says that he's merely allied to the world as it should be, or something, or a just world, if you will. But he's also a beast regardless, as the whole place was crumbling down. And I do like how he compliments this, like, dying guard, because, well, as we know, Stain rarely gives, people his respect and all that stuff. The only one he's ever fully given respect to is All Might, but he did have some respect for Midoriya and then Shoto during his encounter with them, due to them acting like, true heroes, or potential to be ones. So at least comments this no-named guard for his, like, valiant sacrifice, who may or may not be actually related to that guy who fought Bakugo. I know, I just know that's it. That just comes to my mind. I could be wrong in this regards, though, but who knows? So I do like how we see him try escape with diving into the water and all that stuff. And I do like how we get to see All Might's police friend again with like his cat psychic. Let's see, and to definitely show how time has gone by. He's got like like you said, Lucky Chi, more of a beard growing out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see, so that's nice.
More of a goatee than a beard, but same thing.
Mm-hmm. Granted, I have to admit, the explanation about the electrical connections between the Shigaraki and All for One and the Vestiges that are inside, like both One for All and All for One, was a bit of a very long detail. I have to admit, a bit of exposition.
Mm-hmm.
And had to, as you could probably tell from my summarizing, had a hard time trying to say it down. Trying to summarize this without going into full detail. But yeah. But I do like how we end up, learning that. All Might, had a similar experience, but once, but he never really had a strong connection to it until, with like the All Might inside Midoriya until, he actually grabbed hold of Midoriya and all that stuff. And then got, the synchronization and the thoughts of the Vestigious thoughts and all that stuff, which allowed him to learn all that information about what was going on besides Midoriya and like the previous users. But anyway, I do like how everyone thought due to this like conversation they have, what was assumed that was going to be like 2 months before Shigaraki was complete, we learned that by the time of this conversation was happening, it'll be completed in 38 days. As we can see, at least a month has gone by then. So we learned that Shigaraki will be complete in 3 days. So that probably means your boy will be back soon, Lucky Chi.
I'm not complaining.
Mm-hmm. Now, granted, whether or not this means that we are possibly entering the final arc per se, or or we're going to get a few arcs before. Yeah, I still don't know. Still don't know. As far as I can tell, I can't tell if this is a new arc we're in this chapter or the last arc for the cut.
I mean, this could be how you end off the Tartarus Scabies arc. That's possible, or it could be either 329 or 330 is where we fully wrap everything up. But this could be a decent endpoint for this current arc.
Given how, let's see, that we're introduced to like the US #1 hero, Stars and Stripes, I'd say this could be possibly like the ending of the chapter and all that stuff with the cliffhanger of the new hero and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like the ending of the volume.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to like speaking of the international heroes, we end up learning like we get a UN I think a sort of international building, maybe a UN building. I'm not sure. No, I don't know if the UN even exists by the time of My Hero Academia still. But anyway, all in all, it's like an international building where you get apparently world leaders or world representatives talking around the table and all that stuff, and on Skype and on video streams discussing about dispatching heroes into Japan and all that stuff. Apparently, they want them trying to dispatch within a day or something. Now, apparently, this is a bit of a hard time to struggle to deploy everyone, even in like the best of times, to do this, due to the fact that we learn that apparently, due to the fact that heroes represent the strength of a nation.
Yeah.
So that does make me wonder if that means All Might, since All Might was the strongest hero in the world, that meant Japan was the most powerful country in the world.
Good question.
Granted, that does make me wonder what happened to like all of the modern warfare stuff, like nuclear weapons and all that stuff. But but anyway, but yeah.
Okay, so if we're going by chapter, if we're going by the total page count, adding in this recent chapter would bring it to 168 pages. So, and typically from what I know, a volume encompasses like I think 196 or something. Let me double check. I'm just gonna double check and just see. So, typically a volume gets around like 192 pages, right?
Yeah.
So right now we've got about 10 chapters in, which is typically the length of a volume. Typically,
Yeah.
if we're coming off from 318, which is where volume 32 ends off. So, and if we're including in extra pages, I want to say maybe like 4 pages, so 172. So I'm thinking maybe, just maybe 329 will be the one where we end off the volume. If not that, then definitely chapter 330.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that little info, Lucky Chi. All that stuff. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So apparently, due to the fact that since heroes represent their nation's military power, or their their country's strength, if you will, any large-scale deployment might encourage a chain reaction of crime syndicates making trouble up in their own countries. And the last thing the international hero community could want is heroes being deployed in one place and villains causing problems back at home and stuff. It might be implying that, at this case, you could see syndicates working together and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, it's revealed that the All for One has underworld connections into a number of countries, showing us for the first time that All for One has more connections just outside of Japan, as may have caused problems in other countries rather than just Japan alone and all that stuff.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that's the most surprising bit of detail because, I mean, that, and I'm saying that because if going by like real life schematics here, like when you have like underworld like drug leaders and whatnot, like they've got like hidden underground factions and whatnot. So it's not that much of a stretch for me where I was like, okay, maybe there's like hidden organization groups that All for One set up. So in a way, it's kind of like confirming that like yeah, he's had more influence than just Japan.
Yeah, no, again, granted, sometimes it probably might be easy to forget that the world of My Hero Academia is based on a alternative future of what Earth could be like and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Sometimes you kind of forget about the other countries because it's been all so focused in Japan. But it's now seeming like since now that we're entering the final saga, it seems that Koei might want to try and make this a bit more all international crisis and all you will.
Hmm.
So it may be possible that besides international heroes, we're possibly getting maybe some more international villains and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And who knows? This might also be why the third movie has been about, world heroes and all that stuff, to try and introduce us to some heroes that are probably going to appear later on in the manga.
True. True.
So that might be why we got that movie and all that stuff, as a part of a sort of like tease about what's going to happen. Or maybe it's like building off of like plans that Koei had for like this final arc and all that final saga and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah. But anyway, we're introduced besides let's see, Stars and Stripes, we are introduced to two other heroes. One is called Salaman, an Egyptian one who looks like a pharaoh, so who seems that who from we don't really get much of his like personality, but he seems to be losing his patience quickly due to like the international travel editions since since all these heroes are trying to come from the earnest pleas from Hawks, let's see, Endeavor, and of course All Might, who seems that has got a lot of respect for many heroes abroad. Which no surprises there and all that stuff, but given how powerful he was and how popular he was and all that stuff. And we end up learning that from what we can tell of Salaman, he's a bit witty, quick to temper and lose patience, as he ends up muttering the phrase, "I will flatten that all for one." Which so I'm not sure if might be a hint of what kind of quirk he might have, which allows him to flatten people, I guess. I don't know. What do you think, Lucky Chi?
I mean, it can go either way.
Let's see.
I guess it really just all depends.
Yeah, and the other hero that we know is someone called Big Red Dot. I'm not sure. Who seems to be some sort of lion man.
I know. For first instance, the first thing that came to my mind was Craven. That's what I had.
Craven.
I was like,
So, you think this hero might be Russian then?
Maybe.
Because it seems that this guy might be a bit harder to guess what his hero nationality is and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, granted, he's questioning why aiding a friend must involve so much red tape and all that stuff. Like, red tape, you're not allowed to cross the line and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So who knows? It's possible that with all these heroes that apparently have befriended All Might from an international stage, we might get more of All Might's past and all that stuff that we were talking about.
We could.
But yeah, back to Stars and Stripes now. It's apparently she's already left because, as we mentioned earlier, she seems to be like All Might's, mentor. Since All Might was her mentor, she figures like, okay, we're gonna come there sooner or later. So we might as well do it now. So we're getting a bit of her personality with this, but yeah. So yeah. So in many ways, she does kind of look like a female All Might, if you will, don't you think, Lucky Chi?
A little bit. I mean, it's not that surprising considering that that's her mentor. So it's not that surprising that she kind of resembles him a little bit.
Yeah, and not to mention, since All Might, went to, the United States to train while Aunt's master was killed, and to, like, make sure that All for One can get him where he was not fully ready to fight him, he came to America.
Here's something I want to reveal. Or not reveal. So here's my prediction. Who's to say that she could be All Might's daughter?
That would be a very interesting, theory and all that stuff, though.
I again, just knowing that she's his uh, teacher is one thing. Well, her teacher's one thing, but I don't know. Appearance wise and everything.
I think she would have said, "I would have seen my dad's in a pickle. I'm gonna go help him out and all that stuff."
Mm-hmm.
I've said
Well,
master.
I mean, unless it's one of those like super secretive things, like how what happened to Dobby, where in order to keep some limelight out of the situation, I mean, because that is, from what I remember, that is kind of what happened with Nana. So I wouldn't say it's that much of a stretch to think maybe All Might did a similar thing. But again, that's just a theory. It's just a theory.
Well, I assume in a few chapters we'll probably figure out this theory and all that stuff. But yeah. Anyway, I think I've seen some people compare this to like a female Captain America or maybe even Wonder Woman. I don't know. You think that might be Mitzi? You think she might have a quirk similar to either one of those two? Which would be face it probably super strength and all that stuff. So, Lucky Chi there. Hello. Okay, I don't see the private comments. So, Lucky Chi,
What's up?
did you hear my question?
Repeat it one more time.
So, I think I've seen people compare her to either Captain America or Wonder Woman. So I'm wondering, you
It
think
makes
that
it
means,
both.
let's see, or maybe a mix of both, yeah. So I'm wondering, do you think that means that this person, this Star and Stripe, will have, quirks similar, or quirks similar to like those two?
Good question.
I mean, if she pulls out a lasso or a shield, then yes, definitely. Then definitely you could definitely say she's based off of them. But yeah,
Yeah. It really all depends on just what Koei has in store, which we'll find out here in less than 6 days.
yeah.
Well, officially less than 6. I know some people are gonna like go straight for the scans.
But yeah, I do think it's very fitting that Koei introduces us to American hero with like the stars and stripes, since quite a few American heroes do have that sort of on them, such as Captain America. Wonder Woman had them because, let's see, she was supposed to be a diplomat to like the country, so her suit was like based on the you know United States clothing and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any of a few others I think have the American flag in some form or another, but it's mostly those two.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that as well. So yeah, so from what I can tell, this chapter we'll probably be introduced to quite a few more international heroes. I'm curious to see if they will do like a British hero, though.
I would say we're probably going to see one, at least one person.
Yeah, I do know America attempted to do a Captain Britain, though. British heroes tend to be more like Sherlock or James Bond, really.
You gonna feel disappointed if we don't get a British hero at all?
Uh,
You're gonna be like, "Why are you not representing us?" Huh? No, I'm joking.
to be
You
fair,
probably wouldn't care.
well, to be fair, most superheroes are usually American anyway because of US comics and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I won't be too disappointed, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see what Kohei's takes would be on like British superheroes.
True. True.
So there's that. So let's see, anything else you want to make of this chapter?
Trying to think. So, I guess going back to what I was saying, do you really think this is the end of the arc, or do you think we've still got a little bit more chapters left?
I think it's the end of the arc because, as we see, as we've gotten some conclusions on, like, where Stain got the information from and how he did it, and you got like All Might talking to the police as they're discussing, how All for One and Shigaraki are able to sync and connect each other despite their wavelength, and attack the prison from both inside and out, and communicate as well as can know almost. With All Might comparing it with One for All and all that stuff, and how he's able to hear like the thoughts and feelings of like the other version of him inside the quirk. And the fact that we've revealed that Shigaraki will be at full power, apparently, allegedly in full power in 3 days.
There's only one thing I could think of.
Can I just finish my point first?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's see. And how the chapter, as that seems to be wrapping up on that bit, we end up getting like the final few pages. We see world leaders or diplomats discussing on how to get their heroes to America and that stuff.
Yeah.
We're introduced to a few international heroes for the first time ever, I think, within the actual manga. And we're introduced to like this alleged student of All Might. I say yes, we're entering a new arc in which we'll be introduced to more international heroes.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this: there's two things that we could do. We could get a follow up to the Izuku and Ojiko conversation because we know that's coming up, and we could end it off with that, or because I just thought about this because technically this arc did start with Lady Nagan, so maybe we could end it off with her again since that's how this arc technically opened up.
Lady Nagan. Pretty certain we started off with let's see, those 2 third-year students being attacked by Muscular.
Well, you know what I mean. Most like the first half of this technically was revolved around that.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, it's possible, though. I think Ritsuko is going to save that for a later date.
Yeah.
You see, so overall, what would you give this chapter a score of?
Well, I'll mention what I said during my analysis reviews, which is I think for the most part I gave the chapter an amazing rating, which is around like a 9 out of 10.
Fair enough. I think I'll give it an 8.5. I mean, I like the explanation of like, I like to see the flashback of staying in that unknown security guard and how he got the data and escaped prison. I do like how we get a bit of information from All Might and the police about how All for One and Shigaraki are communicating, how he can communicate with One for All and all that stuff. But I felt like the exposition was a bit long and all that stuff, and maybe a little complicated in some cases. So I think that might bring the chapter down a bit for me a little bit. And let me guess, like, you're thinking, Blue Star Saber criticizing My Hero Academia?
No, I'm laughing because you're talking about exposition, and I'm just like, the one thing you're known for when it comes to the podcast.
Yes, I'm very aware. I am criticizing the thing that I am known for, but okay, fair enough. Perhaps I'll give it a 9 like you. But yeah, but I think it's probably necessary information. Perhaps it just maybe went a bit too long for my case, but who knows? And we finally get some, let's see, details about these international heroes. Introduced to a few ones, and the most biggest introduction of all was Star and Stripe, America's #1 hero, and apparently All Might's disciple, if you will.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting to see All Might interacting with her and possibly Midoriya and the rest of the students as well, because I assume at some point they're going to learn that Midoriya is truly the successor of All Might and all that stuff, so there's that.
I mean, maybe next chapter could even probably just be a flashback chapter. Could be that too.
So yeah, let's see. We'll only find out, let's see, this Friday, this week and all that stuff, so. I'm Blue Star Saber.
I'm Lucky Chi.
And we are now signing off, people. Plus Ultra. Goodbye, everyone. Have a
Plus Ultra.
Yeah, and have a fun day.
It's your turn.